Start by respecting yourself. Whenever someone crosses a line and faces no consequence, they come back to cross it again. Not because they hate you, but because they've learned there's no real cost to it. Most people fall into the same trap here. They believe respect comes from being agreeable, from keeping everyone comfortable. The truth works the opposite way. People enjoy kindness, but they respect standards. Someone with no standards might be liked for a moment, but rarely taken seriously. The person who quietly protects their own dignity, even when it's uncomfortable, is the one people remember. Real confidence doesn't need to prove itself over and over. It doesn't shout, threaten, or constantly remind others of its worth. That's usually a sign of insecurity underneath. The person who calmly walks away from disrespect carries more weight than the one who wins the argument. Here's the paradox. The less desperately you chase respect, the more naturally it comes to you. Once people sense that your identity isn't for sale and your principles aren't up for negotiation, their behavior shifts on its own, because now they understand that disrespecting you has a real cost. Losing access to you, say less, but make it count. Many people think talking more earns them more authority. It's actually the reverse. The more you feel the need to explain yourself, the more it shows that you need someone else's approval to feel okay. Once people fully understand your thoughts and reactions, they can predict you, and anything predictable is easy to manipulate. So make your words rare and worth something. The person who explains and defends every little thing is, without realizing it, exposing their own insecurity. Compare that to someone who listens calmly, responds only when it matters, and never over-explains. That silence makes others question themselves. Did my comment even land? Picture two leaders in the same meeting. One talks constantly, interrupting to fill silence. The other listens carefully and offers a few sharp, deliberate points. The second one leaves the stronger impression, because self-control over speech reads as self-control over emotion. And silence has another effect. It makes other people fill the gap. While they're busy revealing their fears and motives, you're quietly gathering information. None of this means thinking less. It means replacing knee-jerk reactions with intentional responses. Set boundaries, and actually enforce them. Talking about boundaries isn't enough. If people notice your limits only exist in conversation and never show up in your actions, they'll stop taking either seriously. Disrespect almost never arrives all at once. It starts small, an unanswered jab, a broken promise, someone who only reaches out when they need something. Every one of these that goes unchallenged invites the next, slightly bigger one. People whose standards stay the same, no matter who they're dealing with, build a reputation that does the work before they even walk into the room. Many people avoid setting boundaries out of fear of being disliked, but constantly prioritizing everyone else's comfort just makes your own life harder. Eventually, you're surrounded by people who value what you do for them, not who you are. The strongest boundaries aren't emotional outbursts, they're calm and consistent. When someone disrespects you repeatedly, the average reaction is anger and empty threats. The stronger response is quieter. Reduce their access, pull back your attention, and if it continues, remove yourself completely. That's not punishment. Punishment comes from emotion. A boundary comes from principle, and people take you far more seriously once they sense the difference. Stay in control of your emotions under pressure. By now, you've built self-respect. Learn to speak with intention and set real boundaries. But there's one more test: the moment someone deliberately tries to provoke you. A public jab, a challenge to your authority, an insult meant to pull a reaction out of you. In that moment, your biggest opponent isn't the other person, it's your own emotions. Whoever controls your emotions ends up controlling you. Real power isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. Anger, defensiveness, wounded pride, these create blind spots that a sharp opponent can exploit instantly. The person who stays calm while everyone else is losing it keeps thinking clearly, and that alone gives them the edge. Give two people the same insult. One argues back immediately, raises their voice, spends the next 10 minutes trying to prove a point. The other listens, pauses, and either responds with a few calm words or says nothing at all. That pause shifts all the attention away from the insult and onto the person who refused to be rattled. This isn't about suppressing emotion. Everyone feels anger and frustration. The difference is the gap between feeling something and acting on it. That short pause is often what saves you from mistakes that take years to undo. Be valuable, not just available. Human nature protects what it's afraid of losing. If you're always around, always reachable, always giving your attention freely, people slowly stop appreciating it and start expecting it. Powerful people rarely make themselves endlessly available because they know attention is a limited resource. A lot of people think constant availability makes them more important, answering instantly, dropping their own priorities for others. At first, it looks generous. Over time, it just becomes the expectation, and the moment you can't meet it, people get frustrated, not because you did anything wrong, but because they got used to unlimited access. The real path to becoming valuable is continuous growth. Skills, knowledge, discipline, reliability. These are things that can't easily be replaced. People might disrespect an empty title, but they hesitate before disrespecting real competence because they sense you have options, and people with options are hard to control. Remember, attention can be given today and pulled away tomorrow. Real value doesn't depend on whether anyone notices it. And once you're genuinely willing to walk away from anything that stops respecting your worth, the balance of power shifts. Suddenly, they're the ones worried about losing you. Let your actions build your reputation. You've built self-respect. Learn to speak with intention, set firm boundaries, mastered your emotions, and become genuinely valuable. But none of it means anything if it stays theory instead of habit. People don't judge you by what you say you believe. They judge you by what you consistently do. People trust patterns more than promises. Anyone can claim to be confident or disciplined, but if they repeatedly watch you fold under pressure, that claim falls apart. If they repeatedly watch you hold your ground, even when it costs you something, your reputation shifts in the opposite direction. And eventually, they stop questioning who you are because your actions already answered it. The biggest mistake people make is protecting their image instead of building their character. Image depends on what people think of you today. Character decides what they'll think tomorrow. Real influence is built from hundreds of small decisions that line up with your values until those decisions simply become who you are. Every conversation, every decision, every moment of pressure becomes part of the story people tell about you when you're not in the room. Making people think twice before disrespecting you was never about intimidation or control. It's about becoming someone whose self-respect doesn't waver, whose words carry weight, whose boundaries hold, whose emotions stay steady, whose value is obvious, and whose actions speak louder than anything they could argue with. At that point, respect isn't something you chase anymore. It's something people simply choose to give you.